Good.
Ready.
We're ready. Go ahead.
October 2nd.
Mr. Chair, do you have a microphone? Thank you.
Hello. Okay. Here we go again. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Board meeting, City Hall Commission Chamber, Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024 at 6:01 p.m. You have a roll call, please?
Sure. Mark Hum,
Here.
Juan Cotton,
Here.
Zaid Shamsi Basha,
Here.
Dan Waleski,
Here.
Dave Matthews,
Here.
Henry Paulsky. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, could everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yay. Do we have any additions, deletions, or reordering approval of the agenda?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Has anyone looked at the September 18th, 2024 regular meeting minutes? Have approved the minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, the swearing in the staff and the applicants. If
you plan to give testimony this evening, please stand and raise your right hand. Everybody who wants to speak. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say yes. Thank you.
Okay. We have proof of publication for item 1, the two projects here.
It was included in the meeting packet.
Okay, so we're good. All right, any withdrawals or postponements? Okay, that's a no. Consent. Nothing for consent. Great. Board disclosure. No? I have a big disclosure. We have a project that my firm has done and you'll be voting on it. I will not be on the dais, but that is my disclosure.
I know you, so that's my disclosure.
Okay, but we haven't spoken about it, so that's fine. Okay. Unfinished business. Nothing. Wow, this is great. So no business. Item A replat for Madison Terrace at 821 South Dixie Highway, 818 South H Street, 824 South H Street, 826 South H Street, and 832 South H Street. The property is zoned mixed use, Dixie Highway MU-DH, and has a future land use designation of a transit-oriented development, TOD. Staff, would you like to enlighten us at some point?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. For the record, Scott Rodriguez with Planning and Zoning. This is an item for under consideration for replat for commonly known as 821 South Dixie Highway, but this has several parcels that are being replatted into two parcels. Here is the general information, location, and as indicated before, number of parcels. So at the September 19th, 2023 City Commission Ordinance 2316 was approved for a mixed-use plan development, residential only. And as a condition of that approval, replatting was required. And this is just going along in that process to meet that condition. This is the plat that's being considered, and you can see the boundaries that separates the two parcels, phase 1 and phase 2. And these are, this is the analysis staff recommendation. Staff is recommending that the Planning and Zoning Board move this item forward for recommendation by the City Commission for approval. And at this time, it does appear that this will probably go to City Commission sometime early next year.
So if I'm not mistaken, it's just the replat. It's not the buildings. It's not anything else.
That's correct.
And
We're
I can
just
see
looking
that the person in the middle in the back has not negotiated or said anything about moving her small house out of the back.
as far as I know, that doesn't appear to be on the table, but things could move. Can't
I don't
speculate either
understand.
way. I know, I understand, but I
Yeah,
at
it's
this
a
time, I
very
just
odd,
want to talk
it's an
about
odd,
this.
yeah, it's an odd situation. Yeah.
Talk about the that's before
Right.
you right now.
Okay. Okay.
And that concludes my presentation.
Well, if I could say anything, this was the gentleman who came in and he was doing and sort of a old folks type of home. And he was going to have variance for parking and things like that. And it was something that Lake Worth felt that was important for the community. So this is where we are.
And I guess under the disclosures, I probably should have said, I did recuse myself when this came before us from site plan, because at that time we had a project that was competing with them for financing.
Mhm.
There's no longer any conflict between me and this project, so I don't feel that I have to recuse myself. But this looks straightforward from Vlad. It is kind of weird with that lot, but that lot is already a separate parcel, right? It's already,
Yes.
okay, so this is not subdividing that lot. That lot's already been subdivided. This is just the existing properties and combining them together, part of the site plan that we've already reviewed. So if there's no comments, I'm ready to make a motion.
Have a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. Any other comments or?
Then I would make a motion to move this forward with a recommendation of approval. PZB project number 24 dash 0110001 with staff recommendation conditions for final replat for the Madison Terrace project. The proposal meets the applicable criteria based on the data and analysis in the staff report.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, item B. Mr. Vice Chair, take that over.
Yes, sir.
Thank
you. Okay, item B, staff presentation.
Good evening once again, Scott Rodriguez, Planning and Zoning. This is a request for a major site plan conditional use permit and sustainable bonus incentive program for essentially an 8 townhouse complex at 1719, 1737 North Federal Highway. This is the request that I just mentioned. The sustainable bonus incentive program request is going to be for an additional height and intensity FAR. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Here's the general information. I don't know if some of you may have been on the board when this came before you before, and I believe 2021 under the Solimar project. So this is a reintroduction of that project. And you'll see here the parcel control numbers with 8 platted lots, including the 9 common area, the 9th parcel, which is the common area. Northeast corner of 18th Avenue, North and North Federal Highway, and it is vacant. So prior approvals really it's focusing on in 2009, the original approval was by the Planning and Zoning Board for the plat. Some history on that. This was initially platted in 2004 under a separate project, and then in 2009 it was replatted again, and that's the configuration it's in today. 2013, the townhouse regulations were established. This is important because under today's code, this project would not meet the supplemental regulations related to townhouses. However, since these were platted lots before the 2013 LDR amendment, that doesn't apply. So 2021, as I indicated before, the project was reintroduced and was approved. And in 2023, the applicant asked for and was granted an administrative extension to continue the project. And here we are today at 2024 for your consideration. So this is a landscape plan and the site plan, and I want to apologize. I inadvertently left out the site plan information from the packet. So we're just going to show you, or at least put on the screen, the site plan. So as Annie pointed out, 18th Avenue and then on the east side is Federal Highway. So that's a configuration, that's a site plan. And generally, the project overall meets zoning requirements, zoning compliance. So I guess we can pull that back up. Yeah, I think it's pretty done. We're gonna get back to the presentation. Thank you. So as I mentioned before, the townhouse regulations don't apply in this situation. The zoning compliance analysis does show that it does meet setbacks, building and lot coverages. And the request was for an additional height and FAR for the sustainable bonus. I wanted to go over the affordable housing section here. This, since they are using the sustainable bonus, this kicks them into a tier 2 for the affordable workforce housing program. And that, so since they're using the sustainable bonus, they have to either go to 15% of the overall units to be deed restricted. And if they're not gonna go that route, they are eligible for what is called an in lieu payment. And that's what the applicant has opted to do. So that's just the numbers on there. The math on that is in your staff, is in the staff report. Sorry, it's gonna be on page 6. And then we'll go to the sustainable bonus features. And these are just the numbers that are required. Half has to be paid to the city, and then the other half is going to be through providing improvements that qualify for those that will go to. And the applicant is proposing projects that will most likely exceed that amount. These are the elevations, if you can see them. Yeah. And these are the renderings. Yeah. The staff is recommending that the project is consistent with the comprehensive plan, strategic plan, all applicable LDRs. And as I mentioned before, the administrative uses and conditionals LDRs for townhouses do not apply. And staff is recommending approval. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, does the, is the applicant, is there someone here to speak for the applicant? Great, come on forward. Just state your name and for the record.
Hello? Can you hear me? Okay. This is Fatin Al Moussawi from Content Architecture and Design. I worked on the project closely as a project manager. So Scott pretty much explained the project clearly. If you do know about the history about the project, it has gone through planning before. So we worked with the existing plat in order to avoid for the owners to replat the property. They wanted to keep that. More or less the footprint of the building has stayed the same, except we have included enclosed garages compared to the last scheme was open garages. We wanted to provide that amenity. And then we added the upstairs, the 3rd floor, which would majority of the 3rd floor is a deck on either side. If you were to look at the plans, you would see that the 3rd floor is mostly a roof terrace. And then there's a room that's kind of like a cabana that would be for that upper deck. And the owners were thinking it could have, you know, like a little jacuzzi or something up there, basically, that we thought would provide another amenity to the owners since they don't have a lot of area outside of their lot. So other than the street in the back, which we had to go through a lot of back and forth with zoning, which we made sure to go in compliance with permeability and parking and all that. So like I said, each townhome has at least 2 parking spots. One of them fits like 1.5 spots, or the middle two are slightly smaller, sorry, the middle two are slightly smaller, so they have, a bit of a smaller garage, but, in general, overall, we try to keep the units standardized. That way it's affordable for the construction and for the owners at the end. So, yeah, if you have any questions here.
I think before we go to questions, do we do public comment or do we do, sorry, the order, either way? Okay, do we have any, let's do public comment and then we can kind of do all the questions.
Sure.
So let's go ahead and do public comment on this. Is there anyone here that wants to speak on this item? Seeing no comments, we're gonna move to board discussion and questions. So does anyone have any questions for the applicant or for staff?
Are these condos for sale or are they rent?
Correct. They're planning to be platted to be fee simple, so sold and separately.
Any other questions or comments?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, just a quick comment. You'll notice that the legal ad had a different application number. I just want to acknowledge that was incorrect, and however, it doesn't change the project itself at all in any way, so we move that forward.
Okay, and legal is good. We're good with that. Okay, thank you. Okay, board discussion or motion, as you please.
I don't really have any comments on this one.
I think it looks good. It's a luxury project. They did list some sales price information, so it's definitely in the high tier. But they're paying their money to the city for the sustainable bonus. It's going to benefit the city in a lot of ways, and I'm supportive of I think it looks really nice, and I think it's good product for that area. So I'm supportive of it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Could we have a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion. I move to approve with conditions the request for PZB project number 24-014-000017, conditional use permit, major site plan, and sustainable bonus incentive program request based upon the competent of substantial evidence provided in the staff report and in the testimony at the public hearing.
With the conditions, oh, it does say with.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Cotton, come back in. If someone wants to let him know, he's allowed back in the room.
Out of timeout.
That was a mouthful.
They get long, they get started. You need to like.
Seemed like a
prepare
lot of
everything.
adjectives in there.
Yeah. So whenever I officially take the gavel, I can no longer make motions.
Just wanted to make sure that it's clear on the record that Mr. Conton had stepped out and abstained from that vote.
Actually, yes, I took over
Unanimous
as
by 4.
the vice chair took over as the chair for that agenda item. Mr. Compton is back now and he is resuming the duties of the chair.
Okay. I assume we're on item C. All right, PZB project number 24-005-00-009. A conditional use permit requesting for a 11,417 square foot design center. Design is a contractor showroom at 1200 North Dixie Highway. The subject property is located in the mixed-use Dixie Highway MUDH zoning district and has a future land use designation as mixed-use east MUE.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, good evening. Scott Rodriguez with Planning and Zoning. The first item I want to point out is that the square footage on this was advertised incorrectly. It should be almost 30,000 square feet.
That's a big change.
Right.
That's 3 times. Close to.
No, I'm sorry, 19,000 square feet.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Excuse me, I'm sorry. It's been a long day.
I got you. Okay.
So what we're asking the board to consider is that we are going to modify the condition at the end to change the request to greater than 7,500 square feet.
Okay.
And we'll go through that. And the applicant is here to answer any questions.
Which either or would have been greater than 7,500
That's correct. So
square
that's
feet.
why we're still moving forward, because this doesn't change the analysis of the project and it doesn't change how we would have recommended moving forward. So it still is a conditional use permit. It's just greater than 7,500 square feet.
Okay.
So was the initial proposal was for the 11,000 square feet. The amended proposal is as you can see. So initially we're just adding the second floor to the overall use area, which is a little over 19,000 square feet. But again, as I mentioned, it's over 7,500 square feet, and that's how we're looking at it. This is the existing conditions. As you can see, the building, the parcel with the building on it is the use area. The parking lot just to the north of that is actually going to be utilized by the applicant, but it's not going to be combined at this time. This is the property survey. Again, just showing the boundaries and the parking areas in the building. This is the first floor plan, which does account for the 11,000 square feet. And then the second floor which is the balance of the square footage. So as indicated before, we are looking at this as a use that's greater than 7,500 square feet. And the request is consistent as conditioned with the comp plan, the strategic plan, and all applicable LDRs. And staff is recommending approval. And as I mentioned before, the number one condition is we're going to ask the board to change that to greater than 7,500 square feet rather than the specific numbers. I do want to add that the board can, if you choose to, can approve the square footage as it is, as it's presented, or it can move with the greater than 7,500 square feet.
I think for the clarification of the board, it'd be interesting to know why we have a divergent number from 11,000 to 19,000 square feet.
Because
I'm just saying, I don't think we understand that it's beyond the 7,500, but it's interesting, I don't know, for the interest of the board to find out what happened.
well, what happened is that the applicant initially indicated on their application the 11,000 square feet.
Got it.
And moving forward, a lot of the application submittal items were indicating 19,000 square feet. So we went ahead and advertised that as 11,000.
It's more of a typo than anything else.
Well, yes, and that's just
Sounds like it.
But
okay.
I can also have the applicant come up and
Okay, that's fine.
Just to be clear. So this is condition one is the one that would need to be modified. If we approve it with your existing conditions,
Yes.
condition one would be modified. And because you're basically saying any expansion of this area, if we just say greater than 7,500, how would you like us to reference that?
I think that would be how we would reference that. We're asking that would be the condition we'd want you to.
So if we just said that this applies to the square footage as provided in the application, do we have to specifically? Because if we say, it sounds kind of weird to say this applies to greater than 7,500 square feet, and if they increase that without setting a number.
Well, you could go with the 19,089.
Okay, so 19,089
Yes.
is the number. Okay, that just makes it easier. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh.
Anything from the board?
Does the applicant want to?
Do you have any questions for the applicant? They're here. I don't believe they have a presentation. but they're here to answer any questions.
I don't know, do we have questions for or would the applicant like to say anything? I mean,
The only question I have, I guess, to the board and the applicant is there's a condition of approval where I believe it's a cross parking agreement between the two lots. It doesn't specify whether or not that needs to be recorded. Is that something that needs to be recorded? Okay, so I just would make sure that that's, because there are sometimes you can have agreements between two owners of property that are either recorded or not recorded. And so that's just something that you bring down to the courthouse and get recorded. Any issues?
Yeah, any further questions? I'm John Paxman. I'm the agent for the applicant,
Okay,
and the applicant Benjamin Peterson is here.
excellent. And you've read through the conditions of approval and you guys are good with them?
I have, and I'll be preparing the cross access, cross parking.
Okay, I don't have any other questions.
okay.
Thank you.
Anything from the board? Have a motion?
Public comment, yeah.
If there is any public comment, you could say it now. So, board, would you have any motion?
Okay, I'll do it. I move to approve with conditions, including the modification to condition 1 to refer to 19,089 square feet. The request for PZB project number 24-005-00009, conditional use permit for design center designated as a contractor showroom based on the competent and substantial evidence provided in the staff report and in the testimony at the public hearing.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, so planning issues.
Welcome to Lake Worth. Thank you.
We just want to reiterate from, especially from last meeting, that we're going to try to get some training in for the board. And Annie and I have been bouncing around some potential, I guess, office hours, if you will, for the board prior to each meeting to be available if the board has any questions. Probably like on a Monday before the meeting for any of the packets, any of the items that are going to be presented. I think there might be some, I don't know if all items can be discussed, but I don't.
There are just some, if you discuss with staff, just like if you discuss with an applicant on a quasi judicial item, you'd have to disclose it.
So we just wanted to kind of, at some point soon, I'm going to do a soft rollout on that and just, try it. But again, it's just our attempt to be a little bit more available for board members if they have any questions. And so we can make our meetings,
More fruitful.
sure.
There you go.
That sounds awesome. Does that include Miss Linehan or is that just planning? Because most of my, I'm just like, because that sounds good. I would like to be able to have a sit down and like hear.
Even without office hours, you all can call me anytime if you
Okay.
have questions on the packet. But yes, I can.
A lot to learn from you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can be present at the meetings. That's not a problem.
Cool. Thank you.
So the office hours really are for staff, so we can have a defined area to be available, for the board.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, anything else? Planning board? Okay. Public comments. Anybody from the comment? This young lady here, come up and talk
You
to us.
do. Jill Carlin, 2381 Sunset Avenue in Lake Worth. And you guys might have been here. You might remember the meeting on March 6th, which was 300 people here in City Commission, the largest turnout ever, with the cops and the police. And they were all elderly people for the most part, a lot. And it had to do with a development project on the last 4.3 acres at Sunset Ridge. And your board, thankfully, unanimously opposed it. And thank you so much. And so it's coming up again. We knew it would, and it's coming up in a different package. It's basically the same impact and the same kind of development, but it's got a different name to it now. And now it's complying with all the things that it needs to comply with, but it's still 42 townhomes. And the objections that the neighbors have are pretty well the same as they were when you guys all approved of it. It's a tiny street and there are children, and it's impacting our neighborhood quite adversely, the idea of this is. And we have other plans, and I've spent a great deal of time talking to the developer about the potential of putting single-family homes there, which is in accord with the neighborhood. The neighborhood, the street Sunset, is a street of single-family homes. And all of the other surrounding streets are 32 or 22 feet below this precipice. It's the highest point on the ridge, and it makes like a peninsula. You drive up Sunset and it makes a peninsula. It's up high. It's, like I say, the highest point of the ridge. And all the neighbors, which is the Murray Hills development, those were many of the people that were here, is way below it. So those people are very concerned about the adverse impact of two-story townhouses overlooking their property, right on, sort of towering above their property. And it's not in accord with the neighbors. As one of the neighbors says, what the neighbor is to this property is air, because it's literally towering over it. So I just want to make you aware of that, and that the neighbors still stand united in their desire for you to hear this out and hear the neighbors' concerns, as you did once before. And we greatly appreciate how you voted the last time, and we want to encourage you to do the same. So thank you so much for taking the time to hear this. And I'm sure you'll see a lot of us in a few weeks when this comes before you again. Anything else? That's about it.
Okay, thank you.
So I want to make sure that the board knows that we don't have a formal application for any project on that site at this time. But if one comes in and it comes before you in a quasi judicial manner, you will have a disclosure to make.
Understand.
Okay.
With this. Thank you. You spoke.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be sick for that meeting, so
So when you disclosure of ex parte communication includes prior on the record communication?
It is outside the public hearing on that item.
Okay.
So yes,
So would we
the-
disclose that we were
I'm gonna
part
be
of
in
a
the
prior
hospital
hearing
for
on that?
No,
item as
because
well?
that was a public hearing for that item.
Okay, public comment is different
Yes.
than if it was part of. Okay.
We have discussed that. I tell you the truth.
No, it's just a disclosure that we have to say.
Maybe we should really take that off. But if there's nothing that's holding it back, I don't see any problem with it. We have to, and we should lose all those people from those classes that. Even apartments, it's in homes.
Mr. Chair, anything else?
No, okay. So, department reports, anything? All right. Board member comments. We always have some board member comments, but not today. Okay. Good for that. All right. We're adjourned.